Thank you so much for coming to this afternoon session, your gateway to Asia. My name is Nigel and I'm the Head of Global Sales at Telstra for ANZ. Look, I'd be interested if I described that have anyone in this audience got ambition to go into Asia with their business or their services, don't quite know how to do it and haven't taken the step, but have the ambition to do so. Can I have any sign of hands of people that fit that category? A few, okay. What about that you've taken your initial steps? Maybe you're flying in and out of Asia, looking for those partnerships. Maybe you've established some small presence in markets like Hong Kong or Singapore. Maybe you're even selling some products in China on some of the e-commerce platforms, but you're still early in your journey. Anyone put their hand up if that kind of fits you? Okay, a couple. And any of you would say, been there, done that, have got an absolutely thriving business in Asia. Most of you can come up and do this presentation for me. Anyone would put their hands up, fit that category? Okay. So it seems like most of the audience here today fit somewhere between, I've got ambition, I'd like to go to Asia, I've put my toe in the water, I'm in Asia and I want to do more. Seems to be by the poll. So if I say the word Asia to you, and you think about it from a personal sense, okay, what type of images or pictures come to mind? Maybe it's the opportunity to go on an adventure, a holiday, in an exotic location. Maybe it's to experience the hustle and bustle and the heat of those Asian cities. Maybe it's simply to take that well-earned rest, that well-earned break on one of those beaches that we see advertised so often across Asia and enjoy a cocktail or my favourite, a mojito in the afternoon. And if we think about what you've got to do to take advantage of that, it's pretty easy, right? You book some accommodation, importantly you book your flight, and I guess even more important, you've got a valid passport and you just go. Recently, I've just taken my family for a 10-day break through Vietnam. Started in the south and went up in the north. Did exactly those three things. I had a couple of other side requests though. I had an 11-year-old son going and he just said, Dad, please Dad, let there be good Wi-Fi in Vietnam and let it be everywhere. And my wife had a request too, I just want my mobile to work and my mobile data to work so she could obviously take pictures and share that journey on Facebook with her friends. But when we now think about Asia from a business sense, from a professional sense, what starts coming to mind now? Obviously, I'd imagine one of the first things is the opportunity to tap into these markets, to maybe take your service or your product into these locations. But are there other things that spring to mind? Asia's not just Asia. Different governments, different regulations. So how will you manage different regulatory environments? How do you manage compliance? How do you manage different data sovereignty laws across different jurisdictions? How do you manage security, not just from a data point of view, but maybe from an IP? How do you take that investment you've made in your home market around your ICT platforms and extend them across other geographies so those users can have the same experience? And potentially that if you expand your operations, how do you ensure that your staff back here in the home market have the ability to collaborate and work with your other employees in other locations in the interest of your customers? These are things that Telstra have been solving and doing for really the last 70 years. And it's over the past decade and a bit that we've really accelerated. And if I had to say there are three things that we have learnt in our journey, in our global business, is people. First one, people. People are everything. And people tapping into local talent is what's critical. It's not a expat fly-in, fly-out model that has longevity and works. The second thing that we have learnt is innovation. Be innovative around your service or your product. Just because it works in the home market here doesn't mean it's going to work in Asia. And just because it works in one part of Asia doesn't mean it's going to work in another part. So innovation is important. And I guess the number one for me is the last one, partnerships. Partnerships are absolutely crucial and are everything to have a thriving business in Asia. And partnerships are very different to how we may engage in business partnerships back here in Australia. So we've done some pretty cool things on our journey. We've built and owned one of the largest subsea cable assets. We've had the pleasure of having over 3,500 people working in our business globally, and there's nothing better than being in a workforce and participating with different people from different cultures, all with a common goal in mind. We've had the opportunity to navigate different regulatory environments, and we've now got licensed business operations in over 20 countries. We've built data centres, we've linked into satellite teleports. We've done, like I said, some pretty cool stuff with our ambition over the past 70 years to build out a global business. And along the way, in doing so, we've had some really great opportunities working with some fantastic customers to help them realise their Asian and global story. We've done work for London City Airports. We've done work with an Indonesian-based travel company, Traveloka, in terms of how they can expand their operation across Asia. We've worked with our own government around their embassy network, and we've worked with some of the big players globally, Google and Microsoft and others, as they leverage our network. So our vision of driving our business globally has attracted and given us this wonderful opportunity to work with these type of brand names. At the core that took us on our journey was all about connectivity. And these lines you see behind me on this world map, it simply represents all the subsea cables, and that's how the internet works. Everything travels across these cables. So for our journey and our vision was to build out on this capability, to build out and have the ability to provide a reliable network service globally. And from there, we've built out a whole stack of range of managed services. But I'll break this down about Asia. And we started with a vision that we wanted to connect international businesses to Asia and Asia businesses to the rest of the world. That was our ambition. And what have we done? Well, we have over 23 offices with over 1,500 people working across those offices. Again, the emphasis on bringing local talent through, working with local talent. We've got the largest subsea network across Asia that's fully meshed across the region, landing into a variety of countries. And the reason I got lucky and my son was able to get great Wi-Fi in Vietnam, and I'm told by one of our people in our wholesale business, was because this network connects into Vietnam, and that was one of the experiences, and that's what I told him. But I want to talk about partnerships. Talent is important, but partnerships. And I want to share a couple of partnerships with you. We had an ambition in that taking international businesses into Asia and taking Asia out to the rest of the world, you can't do that by ignoring China. And we set ourselves a goal over a decade or so to be the partner of choice to help international companies who want to go and operate in China. We want to be the partner of choice to support and provide their ICT platform. So where did that journey take us? Well, come back to partnerships. The first thing we had to do was work hard to look at building an industry partnership, a partnership that allowed us to bring a business entity into play. To be successful in China, you can't do that on its own. You have to also look for good partnerships with other industry bodies and, more importantly, the government. We achieved all that, and we've built a substantial business. The dots across the China map behind me, that actually represents the investment that we are able to make by building out our own core network across China. We've built data centres and we've created exit points out, and it's been a really cool adventure for us. And even back to talent, over 250 people working in our China business, local people tapping into that local talent. The next partnership that was critical for us was to think, how do we tap into the Indonesian market? My point earlier was about, you've got to shape and change your product and service to suit the market. If we had the ambition to simply take what we've done here in our home market and dump it into Indonesia, or to even take what we've designed around our other Asian businesses and put it in the Indonesian market, our expectation is not going to work. So through this partnership with Telkom, and those that maybe not aware of Telkom, Telkom is Indonesia's largest telecommunications provider. We partnered with Telkom to produce a JV, neatly named Telkom Telstra, with the whole purpose to produce and design local managed services capability, local managed services, that product, that suit the demographic, the commercial needs and the unique requirements the Indonesian market has. And that's been quite a successful journey for us, one that we're continuing to invest in. So while I've given you a quick snapshot of our journey and what we've achieved with that journey, what we've achieved with around partnerships, let's go back to talent. And we're lucky enough to have one of our most talented Asian leaders, Sun Yu, in the audience today. I'd like Sun Yu to come up maybe and share 5 minutes of his time, because I'm interested in the perspectives, being one of our main enterprise leaders, Sun Yu.
Thank you, Nigel.
Maybe give me your perspective, being an Asian leader, dealing with Western companies, coming into Asia, establishing themselves in Asia. Can you maybe share with us what are some of the most, say, common misconceptions or mistakes you think Western organisations make when they first establish themselves?
Good question, Nigel. In my opinion, a lot of foreign organizations, when they come into Asia, they would bring their own set rules into Asia and expect those rules to be followed by the locals. To me, I think that is a big mistake. It doesn't go down well with the locals. We need to create that partnership, as what you mentioned. We need to share ideas. We need to share a lot of knowledge between the locals and the foreign companies. Give you a very good example, a very, very simple example. In a meeting, when you try to introduce yourself, you shake your hand and you exchange business cards, correct? Now, I've seen a lot of foreign delegates, they would give a business card with one hand. That is a big no-no in Asia, because that is a sign of disrespect. Always, always present your business card with both hands.
So, Sun Yu, it's something as simple as that. If we're talking about the need to establish partnerships, to look for those right partners, are you saying that even simple misconceptions, innocent mistakes, can actually cause you maybe not to be able to pursue a partnership with the right person? Could it be that dramatic?
Absolutely, okay. Absolutely, Nigel. Because you're creating a wrong idea, you are showing a disrespect to the client, and it has a very negative impact to them.
So there's no forgiving just because you're a Westerner?
Yep.
Right, okay.
And the other examples that I want to give is also that I've seen a lot. In a group environment like this, if you are playing host and you want to introduce a group of executives, always introduce the most senior person in the room first, not the other way around. So it's simple things like this. If you don't get it right at the beginning, it's going to set up for failure.
And what would be your messages then to this audience? We saw from the show of hands earlier, there was a show of hands in terms of I want to go to Asia, I want to expand my business, that's an ambition, to others who are saying I'm kind of established, I want to do more. What would be your advice, some critical advice, again based on what you see every day, on what you would impart to this audience, or what they could do to maybe avoid some of the pitfalls or mistakes like you've described? What would you suggest? What would be some of your parting words?
I suggest to spend time with the locals to understand how business are conducted in that country. As Nigel has, as you have put it earlier, different in countries like in Singapore, business are conducted in one way does not mean that it will be successful in Malaysia or in Taiwan or in Korea or in Japan. It's very different. So spend time understanding local culture, spend time understanding the local business etiquette, hire the locals
Yeah.
that understands your business, and then I believe that is a first step, then success will follow.
Some great insights there. Sonia, why don't you stay with me up here while we bring this to a close. So on the question of insights, look, one thing I want to leave people in this audience with, and there's an opportunity to go to the app and download this. We have launched a report based on looking at the topic of disruptive decision making. We went out and we actually interviewed just under 4,000 executives, and I'll show you where you can download this in a minute, to really poll and get their insights from Asia. Now, there's a lot in this, so really encourage you guys to download it and read it. I believe if we go to the Applicat, you can download the report. I'll give you some of my key insights that I took, and I won't read through all these, but when they looked at Asia, two that stood out. One, Sonia, is what we're talking about, is local talent, is that as businesses across all industries are transforming and going along a digitised journey, the gap between the talent in Asia to help you succeed and drive that journey is low. So what that means, that's good. That means there is plenty of good talent to tap into for your organisation to thrive on its journey across Asia. And I guess the other one that stands out, which could apply to all markets, is you can't just wing it. Can't just turn up to Asia and wing it. You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan on what geography you want to target. You have to have a vision and tap into those local skills to bring it to fruit. So I guess my last message is be brave, be ambitious. I think the journey into Asia, certainly what we've experienced as an organisation, can be tremendously rewarding personally, can be tremendously rewarding professionally, and can absolutely give you opportunities for your business to thrive in larger markets. The emphasis on partnerships that we've learned through our journey can't be understated. So, and those partnerships are different to what we drive here in our home market. And maybe Telstra, it's on you, we can be one of those partners on your journey going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.